Today, I'm going to help you be more profitable sooner in your flower business on your cut flower farm. I've got some tips and tricks today that I wish I had known right from the beginning. I'm going to share them with you, and we're going to get a little political. Not really, but yes, really. Just because I feel like I want you to know who I am. I don't want us to walk a path together and then you're like, what? She thinks what? And then tell me off or anything like that. So let's just get that out of the way and stay with me as we work to make your flower farming successful. Welcome to Learn Cut Flower Growing. Whether you are an inspiring green thumb, a busy mompreneur, or simply seeking a passion, you are in the right place. If I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I would do it smarter. And that's what I'm sharing here. I want to take years off your learning and help you bloom with confidence in your garden. Each episode, I'll share practical tips and ideas, heartfelt stories, and expert insights to help you grow and find balance in your journey. I'm Paula Rice, your cut flower farmer guide. I've been growing for 16 years, and I'm an expert in my field, literally. So grab your gardening gloves and listen to me while you work, or grab a cup of coffee and relax as you learn to manage a cut flower garden and business. Okay, today's first big takeaway has saved me so much in finances and helped me to power up, make better decisions, stand back, and really get a view of where I was making money and how I could make better choices. And that one thing is the profit first method for doing your bookwork. And I read this book years ago by Mike Michalowicz, and I literally read it twice, and I went through it from the beginning to the end, and I was absolutely horrified because I'd been struggling along in the business for a long time. You know, we all do the same things. We're like, oh, next year I'm going to do this, so I'm going to take all my money, I'm going to invest it here into this next thing because I want to be more successful. I want to come with more flowers. I want to branch out into this market. Or you're living off credit cards to do the next big idea. And I want to save you from that. And this profit first model is so amazing. And it goes something like this. And it's so simple. And you have got to do it. You open up several bank accounts, okay? So that when money comes in, you instantly make decisions about that money. Okay. And it's not hard. You're simply going to go to your bank. You're going to make the deposit into an income account. And that's what that income account is for. Every single deposit that you make goes into that income account. If it is income, you know, if you sold something, a product to somebody and they purchased it and you paid it, it goes into that income account. Then the very next, and then you on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, you'll go into your bank and you're going to take the money from the income account and you're going to distribute it to these other accounts so that you know how much money you can spend. Okay. Now, when I first started this, I really was backwards. I was only able to pay myself like, I don't know, 5%. 2%. It was terrible. You know, I have a beautiful farm, by the way. Have I told you that? I have an amazing studio. I have 2 walk-in coolers. And so once I got onto this, I was super disappointed in myself that I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I could never make my car payment and feed my family if I keep doing it this way. So once I started to switch this method, I was able to up the percentage I allowed myself. And let's walk through that really quickly because you have the income account. You know, every bit of money I would make, whether it was the farmer's market, the farm stand, the florist route, anything, I would do the deposit and put it into the income account. And then the very first thing you do is you have your owner's comp. You pay your owner's comp and your profit first. Okay. You're going to pay you and you're going to pay your company so that your company can make some investments. And it's not necessarily stealing it from you. So if I put, let's say I had a $1,000 deposit and I'm going to put 10% into profit first. Let's just say that, okay, no matter what, I'm going to do 10% of that. So $100 goes into the profit first account. And the next thing is your owner's comp. Okay. Well, if you're in the beginning, maybe you're only going to allow yourself to have 10% of that, but you want to move that up. You want to get that up to 30%, 40%. And that's the part I love. Once you start doing that and you see your owner's comp growing, you are going to make better decisions because it really is affecting what you get to keep, what is yours. Now, in the beginning, maybe you're like, oh my gosh, my credit card's up to here. I have to pay these things off. Just do it anyways. Okay. I don't care if it's 1%, put it into the owner's account. And the book will tell you this too. But the magic thing that happens is you start managing it so much better. You will say, I'm not going to buy that with the credit card because I don't want to steal from the other accounts. So you have your profit first, and you're going to probably start out kind of small in there, but you're going to grow it to where you want it. Then you have your owner's comp account. You're going to pay you first, whether it's 5% or 40%, wherever you want to get to. Fantastic. Then you have a taxes account. So every bit of revenue that you get in, a certain amount has to be set aside to pay the government at the end of the year. And you want to have that available. And it feels so good to look at that. And it also grows. And you're like, you know what? My business is doing good. When I get to the end of the year, I actually am just going to have this money sitting here. And if it turns out that I owe less than what I was actually planning, you get to keep that. You get to decide where that goes in your company. So it just depends. Like in the beginning, my taxes, I had it like at 8% because I wasn't super profitable and we have a personal income that I knew it could be there. But once you get more and more successful, maybe it would be at 15% to cover all of your taxes at the end of the year. But it's lovely to have it. And then everything else goes into operating expense. So basically for me, I plan on about 50% to go into operating expenses. And then that pays the labor and all of the bills for the company. But that is absolutely the best thing I ever did. And it is so easy to operate in that way. And at the drop of a hat, you can look in and feel good about what you're doing with your flower business. And here's the next thing that's kind of fun about that. Once you get ahead of your expenses and things like this, is you will come to that and you'll be like, okay, I see that this account has accumulated $20,000, $10,000, $5,000, $40,000. Okay. It's sitting there waiting for you. And you can do two things. Like monthly, you can look at what's in there in your owner's comp and you can make a paycheck to yourself. Now, what I did, and once I got to this ability in my business, it just relieved so much stress and I was free. Is I went 1 year, I was living off my husband, just, he's taking care of us. And I was building up that owner's comp. And at the end of the year, you have a certain amount in that. And that is when I would pull it out into a different account, or you can leave it in there, just don't touch it or something like that. But that became, let's say that I got to the end of the year and I had $25,000 or $40,000 in there. Then I would say, okay, in the next year, I am going to pay myself monthly from that account. Like you are 1 year ahead of your wages. And that was just lovely when I finally got to that point because I could just take that, pull it into a different account and write myself a paycheck every month from that account. And it was free and clear. And then the current year that I was working in was building my account for the next year. So it was always dependent upon how good I was doing in my business would be how well I got paid. And then I was able to budget the house better too. All of that. So I highly recommend that. And if you can hold out for a year, just do it. Like when you get to the end of the first year, say, okay, I have made $10,000. That means I can say, oh my goodness, let me do that. 10,000. Oh my gosh. $10,000 divided by 12. What are we going to be? $833 a month. That's all you get. You get to pay yourself out, but that's going to feel good because maybe you're like, okay, I have $800 and we are going to go to a movie night, go to the town and get a hotel, whatever your dreams are for you and your family. And if it's $4,000 that you get to pay yourself out every month, that's just wonderful. Whatever it is, you're going to feel good about being able to give yourself a paycheck. Okay, the second tip that I want to give you, and you don't want to make the mistake, is you're not really like other businesses. Your bookkeeper's probably going to tell you that you are. You go in and they're really, a lot of the times they're concerned with your taxes. Like, we got to set this up because tax purposes. But to me and you, we have books and we do book work so we can manage our businesses. So yes, we have tax purposes, but we need to set up our book work so that we can kind of make really good decisions about what things are costing. Okay. So of course we have your revenue accounts. Okay. In the very top, and then you would have your assets and your liabilities. Good, good, good. But it's the COGS department and the expenses. So when you come down your chart of accounts, in the COGS area, cost of goods sold, this is where I put the bulk of things that I buy for this flower farm, because everything that is inside that fence, growing inside that fence, or all of the activities that we are doing in the field to create a product, basically that's a factory. What's inside that fence is a factory. So if we are buying seeds, soil, fertilizers, anything like that, even with the delivery, or let's say I'm buying paper to wrap the bouquets up so I can deliver them. Anything that goes into the business to produce that bouquet or that wrapped bunch of flowers is in the COGS department. Even the delivery person, even the employee's wages are in there. I just have wages because I love to look at my bookwork and say, this is what it costs to produce the flowers. I can look at the revenue and I can look at that department and I can see very clearly how we're doing as far as markup on flowers, that type of thing. You know, those are two really good indicators for me. Then you're going to come down to the overhead expenses where we have your computer, we have the lights, we have the secretary, things that deal with just the overhead of running your company, you know, advertising, marketing, all of those. And to me, you have to do that. I have to know where I'm going wrong, where I'm overspending inside the factory to produce my product, and where I might be overspending on the overhead of my business. Like, well, maybe I should cut back the advertising. Maybe I don't need a secretary. Maybe I'm just going to let the website answer all the phones. And you see, when you separate them out like that, you can see which side is giving you trouble or you need to address. So yes, I even put, if you are a field hand or the florist and you are actually working with the product to produce something, a bouquet, I have all of that in COGS, and that just makes all the sense to me. It works for me, so I highly suggest that you set it up that way also. And the next one is definitely a project management tool of some sort to gather your ideas and keep them all sorted in your head. I can't say enough about that as I've discovered. I mean, I am a messy thinker all the way around, and I have papers all over. I have, like, if you look at my wall, you might think I'm schizophrenic because there is papers and ideas all over the place. I am an entrepreneur through and through to my core. And it just doesn't work very well when somebody comes in and says, hey, Paula, where's this? I'm like, hold on, I just wrote that down and it's on a piece of paper somewhere. So I really have learned to open up my project management tool. And for me, it's ClickUp. ClickUp had a learning curve. A lot of people use Trello and things like that, but I am constantly adding into the correct department where something belongs so that it can be found efficiently. So I have a planning card or a planning task, you know, a planning, what do you say? Maybe a space, a planning space. And I would have a space for the hub of the business, like where are all my business documents? And I can't tell you how much that has saved me a lot of, you get a lot of things in your brain and you have to get them out and get them sorted when you are a business person. And so start with that. It was really hard because I love paper and pencil and all that jazz. And I feel like that's coming back into style, but don't let it. I mean, have it to some point. Like if I write something down on a piece of paper or on a notebook, like you could have one single notebook, just one. And I learned this from someone, one single notebook, and you are going to write your notes, your inspirations, all of your good ideas on that. And then on a weekly basis, you schedule that into your plan that you're like, okay, I'm going to open this up. And what are all the notes that I wrote? If they are valid and you want to continue on those, you are going to enter those in the correct spot in your project management system. Okay, so they can be captured. Like maybe you have a new product idea. Maybe you saw somewhere that, oh my goodness, that's an awesome cut flower. I had no clue. Or, oh my gosh, look at this brand new cut flower coming out. I have to remember to order this seed next spring. Well, don't leave it on a piece of paper stuck somewhere. Put it into your project management system. Before I got a project management system, I had a clipboard that I kept. And anytime I heard of a new cut flower that I wanted to try to grow, I kept it on that clipboard. And then when it came time to order my seeds, I always visited the clipboard and hunted down the seed for the flower that I wanted to try. But I highly recommend getting a PM system. People use Asana and all of that stuff. They're all great. And force yourself to get that way. And that's going to save you a lot of time. Okay, you guys, I'm going to dive into a little bit of my quirks and who I am, who Paula Rice is politically, religiously, all those things, because I'm a package deal. Okay, I don't take off my faith. I don't take off my womanhood. I don't take off my whiteness. I don't do any of that. It's a package deal. It's who I am. Okay. And so I just firmly believe in the marketplace of ideas and how precious that space is. So because I'm a small business and I am sharing my life and the things that I've discovered, all of that is going to come out. If I start talking about a certain prayer or a Mary path that I want to grow or create, I just want you to know, oh yeah, that's right. She's Catholic. She does that type of thing. Okay. And I also want you to know in this journey, as I bounce ideas off of my head, and the same with you, my friend, is that I always want to step into a greater level of truth. Okay, that's the point. Paula Rice isn't right on everything, but I do love to talk about it, discover it, hear opposing ideas so that I can think about that and just grow as a better person. Because I don't know everything and I do want to step into truth. But the point is, I have to step into truth. Okay, Paula Rice knows she's not God. And I do believe in God. And so I just want you to be aware of that I am growing also. And I probably need to reserve the right to change my mind as I discover something better in this journey. Second thing is I tend to politically vote for less government involvement. If I look back, that's pretty much how I judge things is I don't like to have too much government involvement on everything. I don't think they are the solution to making social problems go away. In fact, a lot of times from personal experience and having family be a part of those, I feel like they're just an entrapment and it's hard to get them off. So I tend to vote for freedom, less government involvement. I homeschooled my kids for many, many years. My oldest daughter was 100% homeschooled. And then we tried a little one-room schoolhouse in Montana. And then we were back to homeschooling. And then, of course, once my daughter opened up her business and this business was going, I finally couldn't handle everything. And I put the kids into public school. Here's the thing I kind of want to say is there's so many ways to get educated. I mean, and we all know this with the internet. Holy smokes, the idea of education really does need to change. Everyone needs to just become who they're supposed to become for themselves and for the greater good of everybody else. And we need to stop thinking there is one way to do this. Public school is convenient, but it is broken. It is broken. And there's lots of really good teachers out there, but there's lots of people who shouldn't be teaching too. And just from putting my kids in public school, they came back and they're like, wow, this is, I don't know. They're just not in control. I feel like going both ways, teachers and parents, it's kind of babysitting. Like a lot of babysitting, a lot of bad behavior sits in there. Like sometimes I'm like, why? Just call up the parent, tell them to come sit next to their kid if they're not going to behave. Anywho, I homeschooled my kids. And so some of them went part-time to high school and the other part, they apprenticed. One started the apprenticeship for the electrical trade at 16. So he went to school part-time in the mornings. I had him attend public school. And in the afternoons, he worked for his dad, who is an electrician. And I have another son who at 16 joined the plumbing apprenticeship and he worked for a plumber all summer. And then on Fridays, because here public school only goes 4 days. And that's when he'll actually be my first son with a diploma. And I have one other that might. So I just love that. I love that parents can be in control of how their kids should be educated. I am a huge advocate of the vouching system. I wish that that would come through because if we put families in charge of how their children should be educated, man, I would just love to tell teachers like, you know what? What if 5 families got together and hired a teacher to take care of, 12 to 15 children and educate them. Anyways, that's getting off topic. I just want you to know that I homeschooled my kids and I just love parents stepping out of the box and doing what they want to do to raise their children and give them a good education. And I'm all about that. Power it up. Of course, I'm from Idaho. Everybody's moving to Idaho because Idaho is super homeschool friendly. And I had 5 of my 9 children at home. The last one we had insurance again. So I went back to the hospital. And here's the thing. My first one was born C-section. And the hospital at that time was like, well, if you've had a C-section in your past, you have to have the baby C-section. And I'm like, I am not doing that. So I asked him, I'm like, well, if I show up and I don't sign that paper, what's going to happen? And they're like, we'll deliver your baby, Paula. So we went to the hospital. And here's the fun thing. I had been hearing all of my nieces and nephews talking about the intrathecal that they were doing to their spine so they wouldn't feel any pain. I was all about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have insurance. I just want to try this. I know the risks. Okay. I know I grind grain, you guys, but I do not like giving birth. I do not like it. And the more children you have, the more you're afraid of it, the easier it gets. You can get through it, but you know what's coming. And so I got to the hospital and I was like, hurry up, get that going. I know it's on its way. And my husband and I were the last ones in that evening, the first ones to have our baby. And we were gone in a few hours and I didn't feel a thing. I did not feel a thing. Ladies, you live in a day and age where you do not have to give birth in pain. That's crazy. In all of history, when has that ever been known? And here we are. So there you go, girls. I tell my nieces and nephews, yes, it has risks. I don't want to go there, but you just don't have to be afraid. How lovely is that? We're living in amazing times. So there you guys go. That's a little bit about me. I think you've heard my personality through here. I'm hugely passionate about growing flowers, though. That's really where I go. My next step, as you know, is to really beef up that farm stand. I just love the idea of farm stands being all over and kids getting off of their phones, putting their hands to work, communities and neighbors coming to their little farm stands or whatever and purchasing their products. I think that's kind of my mission this coming year. I'm going to be talking a lot about that. I just feel like that would be amazing. And with that, we will just end today's podcast. I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited you were here. Please like the podcast if you did like it. And if you didn't, tell me something. Let me know. Let's start that marketplace of ideas. Mostly it should probably be on flowers though. And I won't do that too much to you, but thank you for tuning in here, you guys. It's going to be a great journey. God bless you all, and like, review, do all the things, download. I appreciate your support.